Good evening, Fernwood. It is your Brettspieler Neil, and it's time for us to take the wheel with another episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. We're watching episode 264 from April 7th, 1977. It felt like some walls were coming down yesterday, so let's find out where the dust settled. Mary and Merle were taking account for the end of the telethon, the Dimes for the Diseases telethon put on by the Guardian Party. Guest of honor Angelo Pickett comes out asking for the money from the donations, and Merle is surprised and disappointed to tell him that they're short some money. Vernon Bales comes to confirm that the money was not there, and he finds a watermelon and manipulates Merle and Mary into suggesting that it might be Dewey who stole the money. Kathy arrives back at her apartment with Mac, and she seems sad that she's going to have to break things off with Howie, who is inside packing the bribe money that he took from Tex when given the choice of either taking the money or losing his life. Kathy is about to end things with Howie when she realizes that he is packing and that he's gonna head out. He's moving to Los Angeles to find better opportunities, and also probably to not get killed by the GGG. And that stokes some disappointment in Kathy, who asks, what about all of Howie's missions? And Howie takes this as an insult and walks out the door, leaving Kathy frustrated. George is trying to enjoy some TV time at the Shumway home when he hears a siren outside and Martha runs in, being pursued by a police officer. She denies doing anything and George tries to set her aside as Mary pops in for a visit. George is able to use his membership in the Glorious Guardians of Good and his association with Police Chief Texas to get the officer to leave. And then George, Martha, and Mary have a small confrontation about Martha's kleptomania. Martha again denies that she steals anything and is really tired of being called a thief, and she announces that she is going to be leaving this home, which Mary doesn't take very seriously, but then Martha takes her plants with her and she walks out, and Mary confirms, yeah, it's serious. Over at the Haggers, Loretta is working on a song as she again hears that mysterious rustling outside. It seems it may be Mac who is there to return some fishing tackle because he's going to take Kathy out on a date. That makes Loretta quite happy. And after Mac leaves, Charlie comes out, disappointed that he's returning the fishing tackle. But then they hear that rustling again, and Charlie goes to the door despite Loretta's protestation. And Charlie calls out into the night. They look down at the ground, and they rush back in and bolt the door when they notice a giant footprint. And yesterday's episode ended on a really somber note with Tom serving himself a glass of milk and Mary coming in to check on him because he wasn't in bed. Tom says he wants to be alone and think through his things by himself, and Mary isn't allowing that to happen. Mary wants to stay there and talk him through it. Tom asks for private time for one night, and Mary is hurt to be pushed aside. Tom again insists to have some time to himself, and Mary says no, she should stay there. And after she says that, Tom says, if you're going to stay here, then I'm going to go up to bed, and leaves Mary alone to sit in the darkness. There are so many feelings I am feeling, everyone, so I guess we've got to just go and feel some more.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman!
Oh, gentlemen.
Hey there, Lizard.
Hey. Gentlemen.
Hey, Charlie, good to see you. How are you? Hey, Tom. Hey, Dennis.
Well, we all here. Gentlemen, the Fernwood chapter of the Glorious Guardians of Good is officially open. Gentlemen, everyone show your keys. Now, who is for freedom, democracy, and God?
The Glorious Guardians of Good.
Yes, gentlemen. Yes, indeed. We have tonight some very serious things to discuss. As you know, the telethon money was stolen. And there have been some other terrible things happening in Fernwood. Well, the explosion at the plant, for one. Now, it is my belief that all of these tragic events are being caused by an underground organization.
Right here in Fernwood?
What would these foreign organizations, what would they be trying to accomplish?
Accomplish? They are trying to bring American industry to a halt.
Really?
We can't have that.
Well, no, we can't have that. Texas, give them the facts in the case.
Sure. One Mad Bomber, one Afro Cone, one Marvin Gaye album, one chicken calling bomb caller, and one watermelon in a safe.
Mm-hmm. We all know what that leads up to.
Indigestion.
Hey, come on, guys. Hey, come on, will you?
Tom.
Come on, this ain't funny.
Tom, would you mind if I ask you a very personal question?
Yeah, well, go ahead.
How would you feel if you discovered that your wife, Mary, was consorting with a crazed militant?
What are you talking about, Dewey? Wait a minute, Dewey?
Hey, wait a minute. He's got a point there now. That watermelon and Marvin Gaye, all that evidence does point up to Dewey there.
No, wait a minute. We can't be judge and jury.
Yeah,
here.
I mean,
Come on.
listen, wait a minute. I agree with Tom. Tom's right. I mean, if there's any questions to be asked, Dewey ought to be given a chance to answer the questions and clear
Gentlemen,
himself.
I think you are absolutely right. I think we should put Texas in charge of it.
I'd consider it my sworn duty.
Oh, and, Tom, I think it would be wise if you asked Mary to terminate her relationship with Dewey.
Oh, wait a minute, I can't.
No, I understand exactly how you feel, but after all, she is your wife. No, we could make it a GGG mandate. You see, that way you won't look like a villain in her eyes. Now, all those in favor of making it a GGG mandate signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, the motion is carried. You see, Tom, how much we love you? Gentlemen, this meeting is adjourned. Good night.
Come in. Hi, Mom.
Oh, I love this apartment. Just like Depression days, reading by candlelight. Oh, hello, Kathy. How are you, sweetheart?
Well, I wish I were dead. I wish I'd never been born.
Oh, what's the trouble? You're not pregnant again, are you?
No, thank God.
Oh, well, that's good news, especially since Howie has abandoned you.
Yeah, another one gone. Well, good riddance. From now on, I am a woman of independent means. Which means, boy, am I in a lot of trouble.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Oh, you mean this? Well, your daddy was practicing some silly magic trick on me.
Yeah, well, I'm just juggling the bills. You see, they turned off the telephone, the electricity, the gas. Oh, and before they turned off the telephone, the landlady called to say that if I didn't pay the rent, out, evicted. So, if I pay the telephone, I can't pay the rent. If I pay the rent, I can't pay the gas. If I can't pay the gas, I can't pay the electricity. I don't know what to do.
Well, do you have any money?
No.
Well, then you can't pay any of the bills. That's simple. So you don't have to worry. You just do not have to worry about which ones you are going to pay. Oh, I love this apartment. Yes, all we have to do is clean it up a little, you know. And it is just going to be so comfortable and nice. Besides, Kathy, just think of all those people with the 112 dreaded diseases that lost their $2,500. You are a lot worse off than they are.
Ma, you didn't by any chance, possibility, take that $2,500?
Kathy Shumway, how could you ever suggest such a thing? That telethon was for charity, and I danced my feet right off at the ankles. Why is my entire family accusing me of stealing money? Oh, I think it is awful.
You're right, Mom. I'm sorry.
Why would I steal money when I have a steady job? That's why I came over, Kathy, to see how I could help you.
Look, Mom, I can't take any money from you.
Oh, but if I lived here, if I was living here, he wouldn't be taking money from you if I would pay the rent.
What do you mean living here? What are you talking about?
Moving in here with you. Oh, didn't I tell you? I didn't tell you. I left home.
Ma, you can't leave home.
Why not? You did.
Yeah, but no, that's your home. You live there. Mothers cannot run away from home.
Well, your daddy ran away with the Bogassini, and Barbie moved in with Grandpa, and you moved in with Howie. I never get to go anywhere.
But why?
Well, if you must know, your daddy is driving me absolutely crazy. Oh, it is not the fighting and arguing and all that, because that is normal for a happy marriage.
Well, then what is it?
Well, it's just that... Oh, Kathy, I don't have to tell you this, but I fibbed. This is not a magic trick at all. It is not. Your daddy let the police put handcuffs on me because he said I was stealing. Now, that is not so at all. And it is such an insult that, well, I'm going to move in here with you.
Look, Mom, I love you. Believe me, I would drive you crazy.
Oh, that's silly, Kathy. That is just ridiculous. I have lived with you for 20 years and just look at me.
That's what I'm talking about, Mother. Look, I keep late hours, a messy house. There'd be a lot of ground rules.
Ground rules?
Yeah, like you'd have to, respect my privacy. You know, if I had a date over here, and I'd do the same for you.
Oh, I don't intend to have any dates.
Well, Daddy, he might be coming over here. Oh, no, it'll never work out.
Oh, please, Kathy, please, don't throw your poor, destitute mother out into the streets. Don't.
Oh, Ma.
Then you'll take me in?
All right. Who'd ever think that I'd have a mother for a roomie? But they never write about this stuff in Cosmopolitan.
Oh, listen, I hate to cut you off. I really do, but there's someone at the door, okay? No. Yes, I'm very sure it is not a monsters. Monsters don't knock. They crash in. Goodbye. I'll speak to you later. Bye. Oh, Dewey. Hi.
Hello, Mary.
Hi. Listen, I'm sorry. Come on in. It's just that, God, with all this talk about mad bombers, and now, my best friend Loretta just called me and told me that, she thought she saw footprints of a monster outside her house, with unusually big feet.
Mrs. Haggart seen a monster?
Well, I think it was just a lunatic of some kind. She just wishes she had seen a monster because she knows that it sounds more poetic, that's all. Hey, coffee? I got Max Pack's ring filters.
Oh, that's all right. I use the same myself.
Yeah? Okay, I'll get it.
This town is sure stirred up. Everybody's suspicious. People have started to spy on each other.
Really?
Yeah. I found some footprints outside of my house. There wasn't no monsters. There were people.
Dewey, maybe the GGG could help. They are just dying to unite people.
No, I doubt it. Texas and Mr. Bale are different kind of people than you and me.
Yeah, I don't think they could perform Othello and do justice to it.
No, I doubt it.
Dewey, it's so wonderful for me that I could talk to you like this.
Mary.
What?
That There's a question in my mind as to how great our friendship can be right now.
Oh, you don't like me?
Oh, no, that's not it. Mary, you're terrific. But it's just that I don't want to see you get caught in the middle. Please, try to understand. We can still be friends, but there's tensions and pressures that I had to deal with all my life that you should not have to face.
Dewey, I mean, that's what friends are for. You know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm not understanding. I think I don't understand something here.
Right now, the friendliest thing that I can do for you is to stop coming around.
Is it because you're black? Because it's something that I never think of, and I swear I never will. I never will. Oh, my God, have I made you feel that self-conscious? Okay, Dewey, let me tell you the truth, okay? I'll tell you the truth. You are my first.
Oh, no. You misunderstand. There might be some trouble, and I just don't want to see you get hurt.
Okay.
I'll be still thinking about you, Mary. Mary, take care of yourself. And your husband. You don't know what you're getting yourselves into.
Now, Ma, remember, when Mac gets here, you've got to stay on your side of the room and respect my privacy, okay?
All right, I'll just pretend he is not here.
Right. There he is. Mac?
Hey, how you doing, Kathy?
I'm fine.
Hey, Miss Shumway. Miss Shumway?
Oh, I was trying to act like you weren't here.
Why don't we just go over in here? See you later, Ma.
Hey. One moment. Oh, it's George. For me? Oh, how romantic.
I missed you, Martha.
I guess you did miss me.
So, you're doing your laundry, huh? Where's Kathy?
Oh, well, she isn't here.
That is just great. We have a lot of catching up to do, if you know what I mean. What the hell is that? And what's that awful smell? Smells like a brewery in here.
George, you can't go in there.
There's a man back there.
Oh, George.
All right, you dirty seducer. Stand up because I'm going to punch your brains out.
Oh, Daddy, you can't fight Mac. You're too old.
Oh, you think I'm too old, do you? We'll see about that. Stand up, I said. Oh, I said stand up. Oh. Listen, you. I want you to stand up. All right, just sit down. Just sit down. I want to talk to you. How dare you do this? This is your daughter. How can you let a filthy thing like this happen? All right, that's it. And as far as you're concerned, No more sharing ding-dongs at the plant. You people disgust me.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Don't let him interrupt your mood.
Heather! Breakfast is ready. Heather! You said you'd be right out this minute. I made a special treat for you. I'm telling you, Tom. I'm telling you, that child has had a definite grudge against me for the past 8 years, and I have been nothing but good to her. Heather!
What is this?
It's grits. Dewey gave me the recipe. You don't like it?
Listen, Mary, I don't think you should see Dewey anymore.
What? Why not?
Look, Mary, I promised Vernon that you would stop being Dewey's friend.
Tom, that just doesn't make any sense.
Why not?
Oh, Tom, I mean, I can't even begin to explain that to you.
Now, look, Mary. We are members of the GGG. We're official members of the GGG, and as such, we've got to follow GGG discipline, We obey orders. I'm the sergeant of arms, right? And as such, it does not look good for my wife to disobey orders. So just do it for me, okay? I gotta go to work. Listen, where are the bullets for this gun? Did you take them out?
Yeah.
What would you do with them? Where are they? Why?
Because I hate bullets, and because they hurt people, and because I'm scared to have them around the house with the child, Tom. I mean, you know that child would just love to get her hands on a bullet. Heather!
Mary, look, I got GGG patrol duty tonight. Now, I need those bullets. Now, where are they?
They're in the refrigerator. They're in the butter compartment.
What do you mean to tell me you put bullets in the refrigerator?
Well, I was afraid they get overheated in the drawer and then explode. Well, Tom, look at this. Why would an envelope have a skull and crossbones on it? Maybe it's an ad for roach poison. Tom, listen to this.
What?
Across the country from sea to sea. Death to the members of the GGG. If you're not on my side, as Othello said, you're a hunky pig and better off dead.
Let me see that. Let me see. All right, Mary, I'm going to ask you one simple question. Who do you know that looks like the Mad Bomber and knows about Othello, huh? Huh?
Oh, come on, Tom. You're not saying that Dewey wrote this letter.
Mary, facts are facts. I'm showing this letter to Vernon. All right, I'm going to work now. Listen, I don't want you to answer the phone. I want you to lock all the doors and do not go outside until I come back. You understand?
Tom!
What?
That letter cannot be from Dewey.
Why not?
Because Dewey has told me all about Othello, and Othello would never call anybody a honky pig.
So we start with Vernon and the men of the GGG convening a meeting secretly at night. And this is all just about pointing the finger at Dewey. And we know the reality, right? In the audience, we know that Tex was responsible for the bombing. It was an accident, but it was something that Tex did. We know everything that we have seen is planted. And it is so frustrating to me that the GGG members just jump on Vernon's suggestion, which he has been laying down since the explosion of the plant. The flyer with the Afro comb and the Marvin Gaye record, those are all things that we audience members saw. And it's just so frustrating that these things are taken as real. And I know it's drama, right? It's a soap opera, sure. But it's really frustrating to see people go off on such misinformation. And maybe that's where we are, right? So like in 1977, we didn't have the internet, but there was just as much room for people to be misinformed, right? Like they're just fed disinformation. At this rate, Tom, like Vernon is very smart about relieving Tom of the pressure to distance Mary from Dewey, because Vernon knows what he's going to do to Dewey, and he doesn't want to lose the wife of one of the key members of the group. Only Vernon and Tex are explicitly bigots, as far as we can tell. Tom has done some questioning of the racial content of the group, and Charlie has also expressed non-racist attitudes towards Texas, at least once. But here we see they jump right on that bandwagon. Well, not exactly, but Mac says, yeah, that obviously says it's a black man. And then Tom and Charlie question that assertion, but eventually roll over and take the order. And then we get the first of two scenes with Martha still in handcuffs at Kathy's apartment, and it appears that Howie is gone. Kathy seems to mourn that relationship mildly, but she has moved on. And the real thing here is that Martha no longer lives at the Shumway home and is looking to find a space to get on her feet. Now, of the two of these women, Martha and Kathy, only Martha has any real income. Kathy has never been able to hold a job. So Kathy really does need someone in the home, but Kathy also feels just a little gross that she'll have to live with someone that she's lived with all her life and tried to escape living with. And then we're back in the Hartman kitchen with another off-screen appearance of Heather. Apparently, after wanting to be a nun, her new thing is refrigerator graffiti. However, Mary is on the phone with Loretta, who has seen a monster, and then Dewey shows up and I think is intending to be kind by distancing himself from Mary because he knows what's going on. We don't know exactly how much he knows. I think he, and you can tell me differently, but I think that he senses bigotry and racism from Vernon and Texas really clearly. I wish that he would say out loud exactly what he was feeling and what he had experienced. I wish that Mary had that perspective, but right now Dewey is trying to keep Mary safe. And I wish that we knew a bit of Dewey's history, right? As awful as it would be to know what racial experience Dewey had. Now, he's a 30-something to 40-something year old man in the 1970s, so he very clearly existed in the segregated era of America. So he's got some experience that we'll just have to assume at this point. But Dewey wants to keep Mary safe, and in doing so, he distances himself from Mary. I think nobly, But I also would like for Mary to really have an understanding of the events going on around her, and Dewey doesn't do her the service of saying this is exactly what's going on. Because I think that Dewey knows that she and Tom are associated with the Glorious Guardians of Good. Again, we don't know what he literally knows. The Glorious Guardians of Good work in secret, but I think he sees that there is some friendship between Mary, Tom, Vernon, and Texas. And Dewey leaves with the warning to keep safe for Mary and to keep Tom safe. I don't know exactly what Dewey knows because we haven't seen a scene where he has explicitly seen something. We only can pick up on the vibes. We know what disinformation has been spread around, and we can assume that Dewey has seen some of this disinformation because it's fairly public. And then we get our second of two scenes at the apartment, and it appears that Martha has the manacles off finally, and she's doing some needlepoint or something. Kathy is having Mac over for some nookies, which, that's their business. I think Martha is fairly accepting of her daughter in her new space, or at least some guideline may have been communicated about how Martha is going to behave. Well, it's very clearly communicated that Martha needs to stay on her side and not be part of the thing. And then George shows up for his little bit of nookies with Martha, which is sweet because I do, as much as I find myself annoyed by George, there is a connection between Martha and him. The kleptomania is the reason that George and Martha have a conflict right now, that George perhaps, and I don't know if I would read the scene I saw yesterday as being this case, but George may have seen the same side of as the police officer who was there to arrest Martha. And that's what Martha is taking offense at. But Martha is stealing things. She clearly has a compulsion, right? She's doing compulsive activity, and she's denying it. So she still has troubles. And for George to say very honestly what's going on, and for Martha to deny it, well, that's something that really needs to be addressed on Martha's side. Martha needs to admit and heal. There's some kind of trauma that is driving Martha to steal more than we saw her before, and she isn't admitting it. And some of it may be the baby, who at this point, Kathy's baby, in case you forgot, may be a forgotten character, not just by us, the audience, but by everyone in the show, because we really saw Martha go this way once the baby was stolen. So anyway, I got off track for a second, and George is making out with Martha because they have fun, and that's good for them. They hear Mac and Kathy going at it. George pulls a George, sets down rules that are completely inappropriate for the space that he's in because he's used to being able to tell Kathy what to do. And then we are back at the Hartmans with Tom and Mary confronting about the meeting that we saw today. They still haven't spoken about the private time that Tom seemed to need yesterday, and I can't quite speculate on it. I could. I think there was the dream sequence from a couple of weeks ago where Tom felt like he was stepping in Mary's way, and the show before the episode before yesterday where Mary and Dewey did their Othello, and Tom seeing that silently. Maybe there's a bit of Tom feeling that he is standing in Mary's way, right? Or at least that's what it could have been yesterday, and I didn't address. It isn't being addressed today, so that's something that will just have to be on the back burner for a little while. But now it's Tom using the mandate from the Glorious Guardians of Good to draw the line between Mary and Dewey, which is completely inappropriate. He had asked Mary to not hang out with Dewey before when they were just in rehearsal, So this is a repeat of that beat, but now we're seeing it more played, right? They're playing it out more. And this heightens because Tom pulls out a gun. I think once in this show, Tom has had a gun in my experience. I could be remembering it wrong because it would have been a very early episode. I remember early in the series, of course, Charlie has a shotgun all the time. I think Tom bought a gun early on when they were talking about the mass murders way back when. But we haven't seen him handle a gun since then. And it is literally just in a drawer, loaded as far as he knows. But Mary took the bullets out because bullets are the thing that specifically do the harm, physically, right? And don't get on me with the guns don't kill people, people kill people jazz, because I ain't buying it. They have a loaded weapon, or Tom believes he has a loaded weapon in his home, and Mary is trying to stop some kind of violence. This is a Chekhov gun, because we're in the first act of something to do with this gun, and I'm really pretty terrified, frightened, concerned, scared. However, Mary also gets a letter from an anonymous sender who is quoting Othello and using words like honky. And again, this looks completely planted. We know that Dewey wouldn't write this. First, we know more facts than Mary herself does because we are watching from the outside, but we've met Dewey just a little bit more than other people, right? Like, than other characters in this show. So this is really distressing for Mary because this doesn't seem like anything that Dewey would do, and we know that. We agree with that. Tom doesn't know Dewey as well, right? Like, he was the janitor at the factory unseen by us for at least a year and a half until he was introduced. So this is literally his storyline, is to be the target for the GGG. And I said yesterday that I was sad that Howie left because right now the GGG doesn't have any opposition. They are completely, as I said yesterday, unfettered, right? They have no one accounting for them at all. And I'm not really talking about the national organization not sending them money. They got money now. So it looks like, to me, that Mary is the only person who may be able to oppose the GGG unless Howie grows a spine. Mind you, if I were under threat of death, that would be a real question for me. But this isn't about Howie. This is about Mary. Mary is the one person who could potentially have a reason to go up against the glorious Guardians of Good, who we know are not up to good. So this clearly is stirring a lot of feelings up in the bowl inside of my chest. And I guess, well, tomorrow's Friday, so we have to wait a little bit. Thank you so much for watching with me. Thank you so much for leaving your feelings and impressions and sometimes thoughts. Your opinions I don't care as much about because I don't like opinions. Thank you so much for doing all of those things that you do. Thank you for taking the wheel with me. And we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.